I used to be a gamer, not a casual one, a deep, deep gamer. Late nights, ranked ladder, and story-driven games that stayed with you forever, like Red Dead Redemption, RIP, my horse. I also did the occasional LAN party, also RIP LAN parties. And when I switched to a Mac, I really assumed that that part of my life was kind of over, kind of done. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Gaming on a Mac really isn't that bad. It's almost perfect. And the reason it isn't has got nothing to do with performance at all. Quick context, so you kind of know where this is coming from. I've spent absolutely years as a gamer. Some competitive stuff like League of Legends. Back in the day, I used to play World of Warcraft quite a lot. And now, as I got a little bit older, I started liking story titles like Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, and getting really immersed in that story. But these days, my life looks a bit different. I got married, I work on a Mac, and my life revolves really around productivity more than anything else. And although productivity comes first now, gaming still matters, but just a bit differently. I'm here as a guide, someone who has squarely lived in both worlds and can really understand where Macs fit into this gaming niche. Here's what surprised me immediately. Gaming on a Mac actually feels completely effortless, except when it doesn't. The machine is ultra silent. It basically never kicks up your fans unless it absolutely has to, and that's in something like Baldur's Gate 3 and you're playing it on ultra settings. It's actually really nice and cool as well. I actually have no problem playing Baldur's Gate 3 on my lap while I'm on the sofa. And there's this whole sense of calm when using the system. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just feel calm when playing a game on a Mac. Not too sure why. And that leaves you with a sense of when you open up a game, you're like, this is actually pretty decent. Zero fan noise, zero setup issues, and the system doesn't seem like it's fighting you, like I've often found on Windows when it asks me to update a driver or download the latest firewall. For certain games, the experience is really fantastic. And that's the part that people don't really talk about too much. But the real reason that gaming on a Mac feels almost perfect is context switching. Gaming on a Mac dramatically lowers the barriers to entry when you're actually booting up and setting up a game. You don't have to commit to an entire session of gaming, those times where you drink Monster and you're up until 3 AM. You can just sort of dip in. It's super easy to load up any game incredibly quickly, play for 15, 20, even an hour or so, and then flip it back down when you're done. No problems. And that, for me at least, has changed how gaming fits into my life. So why does context switching matter that much? It's because every device trains you on how it wants to kind of be used. For instance, a gaming PC is all about session use. You want to boot it up, get everything right, hop on Discord, set your mic up properly, and then play for a good few hours and really get invested. For the PS5, it's kind of similar. You really jack in. You get your headphones on, you start up that big story-driven game and, switch the TV on and really get immersed in the story and lose yourself for a good couple of hours. And the immersion is incredible, I'm not gonna lie. But it's also super heavy. And my Mac doesn't really ask for that. You're already on it for the most part, working, emails, maybe a bit of YouTube. You can sort of just dip in whenever you'd like. You can play one game, close the lid, and you're done. And that lightness feels actually really powerful. I feel like I can pick up and play whenever I want. And because the entry cost is so low, I find that I play more intentionally. You don't accidentally disappear and lose hours of your life like I have done so many times before. You stay very squarely in control of your time, and that's what I really, really love about gaming on a Mac. Gaming becomes something you control, not fall into accidentally. And that's why gaming on a Mac feels mature. It actually respects your time rather than the inverse. But inevitably, there is a big flip side. When you do want to completely disappear into a game, the Mac system sort of resists that slightly. There are quite a lot of compatibility issues. Like for instance, 90% of my Steam games just won't run at all because it's not supported. Now, of course, there are some workarounds that you can do, like you can play it through Rosetta, or you can partition your drive and install Windows on it. But again, it all sort of falls into the same thing. It's all compatibility issues. And I really get annoyed that I miss so many titles. Like I had said before, Steam doesn't really work that well with it, but also there are just big missing titles, like Fortnite, for example. Not because the Mac couldn't handle it, but because that sort of immersion was never really the point of it. And that's where the almost shows up. Here's the real clarity though. Mac gaming is for light context gaming. Console or PC gaming is for those heavy sessions where you really want to get immersed. On a Mac you get short sessions, familiar games, and an easy exit opportunity. On a console I find I get deep immersion, story, and I'm really invested in putting my time into playing through that story. I almost get emotionally invested when I'm playing on a console and my TV with my headphones, rather than on a Mac I'm sort of just dipping in, playing for a bit, and then quite happy to end that session. And for me, that split works really well. So my Mac is for light gaming whenever time allows, but also mainly for writing, work, emails, PowerPoint, the usual stuff. And my PS5, that's for deep, deep immersion, emotionally getting invested in the story and really putting aside a few hours to game with intention. Gaming didn't disappear, it just became intentional. And honestly, I enjoy it more that way. So no, gaming on a Mac is not perfect, far from it. There's the small screen and the compatibility issues, just to say the least. But it is closer than people are willing to admit. That small screen is absolutely beautiful. As a system, it's calm and it's flexible and it fits adult life surprisingly well. Once you understand this premise of context switching, the trade-offs stop feeling like failure, but they start feeling like design choices. And that's when the Mac makes full sense.